Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Tastes Different, ITD News Gaming. Listen, like, subscribe, share, hit notifications. What's on the menu for dinner tonight is borscht, just like my babushka used to make. All right, we're going to talk about Iron Harvest, released in 2000 or September 1st, 2020 on Steam, and then went to Game Pass this month, and we're going to do a little review on it. I lost my stuff to tell me who developed it, so I'm going to trust Nick to fill me in. Nick?
Okay. It was developed by King Art Games and published by Deep Silver. So I guess I'll go into my first part of this. This game is fun.
Yes, please.
The single player campaign is okay. It's it has a story and it's kind of there to kind of teach you the fundamentals, I feel like. But for me, really, the multiplayer is where this game shines, and it's a lot of fun to play. But overall, I really like this game. It's a good strategy. It's a real-time strategy game. So it's a really good strategy game, especially since we don't get those very often, or at least good ones very often. It was nice. So, but Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a strategy game. Those are a real-time strategy game. Those are always fun, especially sometimes the campaigns can be a little boring, and this campaign and this one is kind of the same. The campaign, in my opinion, is a little too slow, leads in way too slow. But multiplayer, which is where real-time strategy games shine, and this one is no exception. It was pretty fun. I will say that I didn't notice a whole lot of difference in the units. I mean, there's a little bit of cosmetic difference, but that's about all that it seemed that were difference in the units. I only played a couple of the different factions. There's 3 factions built into the game, and then there's a 4th faction if you get the expansion, the Operation Eagle. So but overall, I thought the game was fun. I liked the multiplayer. And like I said, I thought the campaign was just a little slow going, which some of them are that way. Russ, what'd you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty average for an RTS like this to kind of go slow within that campaign. They're teaching you every aspect of the different kind of not mobs, but I should say characters or units that you have to use, switching through and switching some units to where they were doing rifles, maybe they're doing grenades and so forth and so on. So some of those things happen within that. I did get a quick bot match in before I kind of missed playing the multiplayer of the guys. But again, this is another one of those games that probably lend to that. Me and Patrick have played quite a few of those games, and it seems like this is another one of those that lend to that. It's probably a lot of fun multiplayer versus and even if you make little allies within it as well. But it's a fun game. I mean, it's a standard RTS to me. I don't think there's anything new to this. I like the steampunk feel to it a little bit. I mean, actually, a lot of bit to it. I mean, it's literally like I think World War I with steampunk involved in it. But it's pretty solid game. It's been out for a while now, so all the bugs and kinks seem to be worked out of it a little bit. Some of the animations kind of bother me a little bit because it seems like I know that they have kind of a rev up and then release, but I just I'm not sure if it's actually fired off sometimes. I had some issues with that a few times, but beyond that, it's a solid RTS. I actually didn't mind the story too much. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it's a little fluffed up in the beginning, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I like this game. It's a good game.
Yeah, there's no disagreements on the story, I think. It starts off, I don't know. The game tries to teach you as the story progresses, and then it just hits like an extremely slow roll. The main protagonist you have there at the beginning is generic. It's kind of a atypical story too. I mean, you see on every anime, every movie, with the father, child thing and father does something wrong. You've seen it in Star Wars. You've seen it in every damn thing. But the multiplayer is really where I enjoyed it. When we were playing earlier today, I was learning things in multiplayer that I didn't learn in the story yet. It was fantastic. The three of us, me, Nick, and Pat, we had a pretty good time with it. As they were, blurting out, "Oh, you can do this." But, oh my God, I learned how to upgrade my stuff, and it was pretty cool. I ended up with the most points at the end. Yay me! Not that it matters a whole lot, but I enjoyed it. I don't have a lot of experience with RTS. I have very limited. I have some Command and Conquer, some Halo War, stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. I couldn't really complain about it because it's a Game Pass game for PC. Another power of the Game Pass thing, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you have Game Pass. Nick, how did this compare to your experience with other RTSs? What did you like about it? And maybe what would you like to see them do in a sequel?
In most RTSs, I do like. It depends on what I'm playing, but I do like the base building. This one has very little base building. There's pretty much 3 bases I guess 4, bases that you can build. And that's, you have your headquarters, which is your main base, barracks, workshop, and then you can build pillboxes. But the thing I do like about it is this is a very heavy infantry game, RTS, where you're just pouring out different mechs and infantry models and stuff like that to take a giant force, a giant army of mechs and soldiers and stuff to the enemy front lines. And what's cool about it is, you have engineers, which they are the ones that can build your different stuff. You can build also with them like barbed wire fencing, and you can build sandbags, which is cool because one of the cool mechanics is your regular guys that are on the ground, they can cover behind these various things. They can also, of course, like most RTSs, you can go into buildings and secure those. But if there's like a line of sandbags, you can put them, or a wall or something, you can put your infantry behind it, and they'll use that as cover so they don't take as much damage and stuff, which is really neat. It's kind of, you get a little bit of strategy there, like, oh, okay, I'm going to place these guys, kind of behind this barrier and kind of hold that position. So, yeah, I mean, I like that as the engineer, where you can build your pillboxes and your barracks and stuff. You can build them anywhere you want. So you can kind of use that to kind of move up, if you're playing like the multiplayer, to kind of move your base, your forward line of your base up closer to the enemy by, putting out pillboxes, or maybe a barracks closer to, kind of out in the middle of nowhere or something like that. Some RTSs, you're kind of locked to a certain area, or maybe you have to build like, you think of StarCraft, or we have to build like pylons or whatever to be able to build around those. This is just really, you can build wherever you want to and kind of secure that area. So it's very infantry heavy, which makes it fun. Not a lot of RTSs have a big mixture of base building and infantry, and this one's really just really minimal base building and a lot of just using your resources to pull out heavy mechs and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of resources. There's only like 2, I think, which is iron and oil. So, but sometimes it is hard to maintain those. But if you can just start kicking out all that infantry and those big mechs and stuff, and watching the big mechs go and is really cool. A lot of them are pretty cool looking, especially the giant ones and stuff. And they can pack a punch. And so I think the sound is really good in this, like when the mechs fall and, the sound of the cannons and stuff that come off the mechs and everything, that sounds really cool. So yeah, I mean, compared to other RTSs, it's just different. A lot of them have a lot more base building. This one doesn't. I know there's other RTSs that are kind of like this, but yeah, so that's what I liked about it. What about you, Patrick?
I mean, yeah, I think when you and I were talking about it, I was like, this game looks familiar. Why does it look familiar? And you and I were sitting there discussing it, and I think you pointed out that the art was done by that Jacob Rosalski guy, who also did the artwork for the Scytheboard game that we all play. I was like, man, this looks so familiar. And yeah, his art style is considered diesel punk, on alternate 1920s like thing. So that was kind of cool. And, to see something like that, I saw his art in Scythe and then this Iron Harvest. I'm like, this just looks like something we played. And so that was kind of cool. It's very simplistic RTS. Yeah. And like Nick said, you only have your main bases that you've got, your barracks and your workshop and your headquarters, and then you can build pillboxes and things like that. So, there are OP strategies just like every game, where we've already figured out that the air artillery is pretty much it's the shit. You can pretty much mow down an entire half of the enemy base with it before they can take them out. So, it does have its cheese mechanics. But it's fun. The game is broken out into the base game has the Polania campaign, the Rusviet, and the Saxony campaign. And then there's an expansion that adds the Rusviet Revolution, and then Operation Eagle, which is kind of based off of US type stuff. So, the game's been out for almost a year, but we just got it on Game Pass for PC. So we thought we'd all give it a shot and see what it's like. I'm a big real-time strategy game fan, and this one's pretty fun. But it is very simplistic. It has a whole lot of, it's good to little jump in and jump out, but it's not going to be one of those ones that just catches your attention like a grand strategy. But like I said, this one's just a very simple real-time strategy. We played the campaign. I played the campaign. I've not played too much of the other, other non-multiplayer modes because they've got like some scenarios and skirmishes and stuff. But, most of these games for me are just multiplayer. I don't know about how you guys feel, but Russ, how do you feel about that type of stuff, man? Do you, did you play much of the multiplayer? Did you get to see all the advancements for that?
Well, I mean, I didn't see all the advances, but I did, like I said, I got a match or two in right before we started. But I think you described it the best, actually. I wasn't sure if you were going to get around to really saying it that way or not. It's very simplistic. When you look at games, even some of the older ones, like Age of Empires 2, Command and Conquers and stuff. I mean, you had to have certain barracks built to get to the next level, or you had to have a barracks and a armory built before you. And those mechanics really aren't here. But if they're here, they're in a very small state. And I think that's just where if we had to pick a place that this game fell short, that would be probably the place where this game fell short. Is we like a little bit more involvement with some of that. I mean, it is enjoyable. It is a little bit more of a normally in a game like this that we play, infantry men are usually just fodder. It's just to kind of keep them busy while we're building something else in the background. And here they actually do play a little bit more of a bigger role, especially if you give them the right abilities and the right tactics. It does work pretty well. But again, it's pretty simplistic for the most part. I haven't played as much of this game as I've played games in the past, but I also understand what an RTS is, and it really felt simplistic, and that's probably why it didn't catch my my interest. Although the artwork, I will say, Patrick again is very right on that. It's some very nice artwork. This steampunk, the diesel punk, whatever you like to call it, is it's very neat. It's very cool to kind of see a quote unquote period of time being kind of upped to a steampunk or a more technology type of way, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree. The mech stuff was pretty cool. The big walking AT, hillbilly AT-ATs is what I would call them. Those are really cool. The one that fell right in front of our base when we were doing our multiplayer earlier. And you're right, Nick. The sound on it, hearing that squeaking metal and the thud with everything, that's cool as hell. But Pat, you say it's simple. I say it's right up my alley, because this is perfect for people with not a lot of RTS experience. It's a good one to learn with, and push you up to those more in-depth RTSs. I enjoyed it. The story is the weakest link in it. It's like I said, it's kind of generic. Voice acting is. You thought my voice or my Russian accent at the beginning was pretty crappy, but I don't know. Some of these were, I don't know if they were real, Russians trying to speak English or what, but it was bad. It was bad. But I do like the game. I like the art styles. I like the character designs. It's just a solid game, especially for one that you can get with your Game Pass subscription. It really just it works for that. I mean, this is one of those games that definitely work for Game Pass. I would like to see a sequel for it, hopefully with some updated graphics. Maybe a little more strategy in it for Pat over there, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that alternate 1920s thing going down, the diesel punk thing. It's kind of cool, The mechs are the fun part of the game. I mean, every group has their own specialized mechs, which is kind of cool, but it's very, I don't know, it's very simple. There's not a whole lot between the three factions, and I don't have the expansion, so I didn't get to check out the fourth faction. All I saw was that they look like the normal thing, just have red, white, and blue in it. So they're trying to pander to the Americans or US, right? But like I said, yeah, it's an alternate 1920s where you basically the Russians, the Germans, and the Europeans are fighting with dieselized mechs. Kind of reminds me of old Killicans and Warhammer. Then we'll leave it up to them orcs. They're going to build some backwoods hillbilly mechs, and that's what it looks like. So
another problem I would say with this game is the 3-player, the 3v3. You can't have a fourth buddy play with you. That sucks.
Well, you can. So, it would just be on the opposite team.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm not going to be on the opposite team because I'm going to get my ass handed to me.
Yeah, I wish this. I mean, if they do make a sequel to this game, I wish it did have more base building. I like the mixture of base building and building infantry. So I like being able to have more options, and other things to create. And also, like Patrick said, the airship is way overpowered. I mean, you build like 4 airships and you can pretty much dominate the entire map with them. So, they can just take things down in no time. So, and they don't take as much. They do take quite a bit of resources, but not as much as some of the bigger mechs. And those bigger mechs, they're nice, but they're incredibly slow. So like taking them from from where you're starting to where the enemy is, your gunships, which are still slow on their own, are probably going to get there before that big mech does. So, but I think overall, I think it was fun. I enjoyed the multiplayer the most. I think the multiplayer was fun to play. And it was just fun to build mechs and send them out there. But it doesn't have much more than that. Right. So, but I think this game was good, especially if it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass for PC, it's a perfect time to install it and check it out, see if you like it. If it wasn't on Game Pass, this would probably be a sale game for sure. Maybe like a $20 game for me. And I could see it $20 having some fun with the multiplayer and the skirmishes and stuff like that with it. So,
right. Yep. It's RTS with mechs. How can you beat it,
Hillbilly mechs at that. So
some of them do look very, it's supposed to be diesel punk, but some of them look pretty interesting because half the time when me and Nick played the first multiplayer map, I'm like, what is this thing? And I deployed it. I'm like, it's just this round little thing that shoots out wheelie things that blow up. What the crap is this, So, we played
those one-wheeled vehicles with the little guns on the side, that you ride in. Those are kind of cool, but I think the vehicle choices on those designs are pretty cool overall. Nothing really had a resemblance from one faction to the other, except for probably sizes. That's probably the only similarity. I think they had a good variation in them.
They have their own specialty units and stuff. Their main forces are pretty much the same, but they have their own specialty units that are the heroes, because they have a hero type element to these, which are your reserve units that you get to place. So it's definitely worth it. I would say it's a sale game as well because of the limited amount of units and stuff. But maybe the expansion, the new expansion adds some Operation Eagle, adds some new units. I don't know, but I would agree with Nick. It's not a base building game. It's about just build up a barrack or two, build up a workshop or two, and just stream out units. That's really what it is. There's the defensive units, the pillboxes are kind of cool. They work in choke points, but the problem is those choke points also choke your units, and your big mech can't go through some of the choke points that you block off with the pillbox, which we found out in the first time we played, where we had to go all the way around the outer edge of the map because we built pillboxes and blocked ourselves in. So
yeah, I did that very first thing is what I did when we jumped on ours. It's like, all right, I'm gonna slap me a dude right here, and you're like, no, I can't get out.
yeah, yeah, your units can't get out. So I mean, fun game. It's a really good game. It'll stay installed for some RTS fun every now and then. I think for us, we can hop in on a 2v2 or 3v3 game. Too bad they don't have any 4v4 maps because that would be fun. But the most they have is 3v3 right now.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Awesome Game Pass game. Definitely I'd say if I was going to buy it, I'd go 30 on it. I think that's a pretty good price.
Yeah, it's been out for a year, so I mean,
Yeah.
you can easily pick it up for that price right now. So,
well, then there we go.
With the other titles that are out in this world, I don't know. Like a cell game for me, it'd have to be like 15. I mean, yeah, it's okay, but it's a solid RTS. But at the same time, when you have Command and Conquers and Age of Empires and stuff like that out there, it's hard to really pump this one up to say, it's worth buying for me. I mean, I don't know. If it wasn't for Game Pass, I would not buy this game. Let's put it that way.
I mean, yep, yep. To me, it's the mechs and destroying, because the mechs also destroy stuff that they walk on top of, and they destroy the terrain. So it's got some cool little visuals like that. I mean, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool, the artwork, because when we were first looking at it, I'm like, God, this looks very familiar. And I think Nick, you pointed out that it was that Jacob guy that did the art for Scythe, and I'm like, no wonder it looks familiar. And I guess he does a lot of that diesel punk mech stuff, so I like that. Looks cool. I think that's all I have. I mean, it's pretty basic, pretty simple game. So if you like RTS and you like mechanized units and you like giant robots, then this is for you.
And really bad Russian accents.
All right. Obviously, the borscht wasn't very good because it's all coming back up.
I mean, we could always ask Bill Schwartzky from Saturday Night Live if he can do a better one for you next time, Shane.
All right, let's hire him. I heard he's looking for work.
Cool. Well, I don't have anything extra on this game. Like I said, very simple, very easy. There's not a very big learning curve to it at all. You could probably just hop right in the multiplayer without even playing the campaign, and you'll be just fine.
Yep, I would recommend it.
Well, cool. All right. Well, that's all I have. Anybody else got anything else they want to spit out on this one?
Nope. Bring in the Russian bear.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some rude awakenings in the morning whenever the borscht makes its appearance again in the red toilet. So we hope to catch you in the next episode.
For the motherland.